G'day guys, the Random 6 back with another video as always. I know I promised a few before, but that seems to be like a curse. Whenever I promise a video, I always not end up putting up anything for like a while, so I guess I'm not going to say that anymore. Well anyway, this video, as you can read from the title, I'm going to be recapping UFC 135 and just talking about what the future is for Jon Jones in the light heavyweight division. Now, I'm a huge UFC MMA fan, and you know, I've said it before in other videos, but this is going to be one of my first videos where I actually talk about it, and yeah, give you my thoughts and opinions, analyse how I saw things in today's event. So, without further ado, I guess I should get to it. Now, my cat, look at my cat. It's my cat right there. Well, she was asleep, but she woke up now. She's on my computer chair. What the hell? Cat's a savage. You just don't give a fuck, do you? No? What? Yeah. Just scratch under here. Yeah. Anyway. While that bitch cleans herself, we need to analyse this shit. Let's get down to it. I'm gonna sit on this fucking chair. So, she's got the luxury, you know, she's sleeping, leave her, I gotta sit on this fucking thing. Anyway. Let's get down to it. Let's talk business. Now, I'll be real honest, usually I'm watching these things from start to finish. I'm watching all the prelims and everything like that, but I really, you know, I had a wild night, previous night before, I got crazy drunk, and, you know, I woke up just in time to watch the Matt Hughes, Josh Koscheck fight, and finally, Rampage Jackson versus Johnny Bones Jones. Now, I have had a look at the results. I haven't, you know, went back to rewatch it. I'll probably do that after this video. But I did see the results. You know, local hero down here in Australia, James T. Hunter, got a, or T. Hunter, whatever way you want to say it, got a an impressive knockout victory over Ricardo Romero. So congratulations to James. And also another boy from our neck of the woods, Mark Hunt. No stranger to K1. Look him up. He's got quite an impressive record. I think he holds victories over Wanderlei Silva and Mirko Krokop. So, you know, his MMA record is something that's kind of like, meh. But his last fight, which was the one I went to in Australia in UFC 127, he impressed the fuck out of me. He was fighting, who was it again? Chris Tuchscherer of Brock Lesnar's camp. Death, you know, the whole Death Clash trio and all them. Yeah, that was Chris Tuchscherer, who's, you know, he's not too bad. He hasn't really put on any stellar performances, but he, from what I remember, he blasted him with, what was it, a left or right hook, something like that. I think when I was watching from the crowd, I was just like looking at this guy just being taken apart bit by bit, and good old, you know, stocky Mark Hunt just, you know, it was nothing to him. Once he dropped him, he just walked off. Can you believe that? So rewatch that. That guy's another fucking savage, as well as this cocksucker right here. But, you know, that guy's a savage too. Yeah, he picked up another win. Wasn't too impressive from what I hear. He was up against Ben Rothwell. Ben Rothwell, who was well known in the IFL. You know, he pulled out a unanimous decision victory. Like I said, I haven't watched it, but, you know, I've seen the results, and congrats to Mark Hunt. Congratulations, you know, making all of Australia and New Zealand proud, so keep it up. Now, let's get stuck into it. Matt Hughes, Josh Koscheck. This pretty much went the way I predicted, you know. Matt Hughes has really well and truly, you know, he's not going to put up any more impressive fights, you know what I mean? Ever since he got knocked out by BJ in his second last fight to this one, you know, I just kind of knew it was his time, you know. You take a look at that guy's age, he's not really, you know, he's not going to be putting out any stellar fights anymore. His career is on the downslope. I mean, I'm not putting anything, you know, I'm not dissing him in any way, I'm not putting him down, but all I can say is that, you know, I think it's definitely time that he hangs up the gloves. We've all got to know when our time is, you know what I mean? I know it's hard to, you know, speak, you know, as a fan, because it's just like, oh, shut the fuck up, what do you know? But honestly, you know, Matt Hughes, you've had a stellar career, you've done really great for yourself, and I'm not too sure what your everyday life is like, and, you know, obviously, I think the fight game is something that a lot of people get hooked into. You know, take a look at guys like Andrei Arlovski, and, who's that other guy who just keeps constantly getting knocked out? Well, Chuck Liddell, he's another one, you know what I mean? That you just, I know you probably don't know much more than fighting, but you gotta hang it up, man. You know, you're not doing too hard, so, you know, thank you for everything you have done, but, you know, Josh Koscheck, man, knocking him out with 1 second to go. I think that was the result, yeah. TKO victory. Wow, that was impressive. But, yeah, I mean, you know, look at Josh Koscheck. His skills right now, you know, he kind of went 5 rounds with the champ. Champ blasted him. GSP really took it to that motherfucker. But, you know what? He stood in there. He was more than willing to trade with GSP. You know, GSP outpointed the fuck out of him. But still, you know, Josh Koscheck, man, he's a beast. And, you know, he put Matt Hughes to sleep 1 second ago in the first round. That's impressive. Josh Koscheck, you're doing well, man. I can't wait to see you fight again. I wouldn't really mind seeing a rematch with Paul Daly, but I'm probably just gonna guess you dry hump the fuck out of him. So that's probably never gonna happen. So, but if he did stand and bang with Paul Daly, ooh, that would be exciting. Maybe I don't want to see that fight again because it didn't really end all well the first time. But anyway, I love heated rivalry. That was a good one. Let's talk about Rampage Jackson, Quinton Rampage Jackson up against Johnny Bones Jones. Now, after this event, John Jones successfully defended his title for the very first time, and he did it flawlessly. Like Joe Rogan said, he passed with straight A's on this one. You know, Rampage, this is the fight, the way this fight panned out was exactly like how I would have predicted. You know, Rampage, he didn't quite find his range. Even his corner kept telling him that. The guys from Wolf Sled just kept saying, look, man, you got to find your fucking range. You got to get in there. You got to really take it to him. If you're standing outside and, you know, you're tentative and, you know, I can't believe all that shit he was talking about Lyoto Machida counterpunching, and what the fuck was he doing? He just froze up. He didn't know what to do. He was just, you know, that's it. That's all he had, you know. That was crazy. I really expected, you know, Rampage to go in there, get in his face. That's how he would have really took it to him. You know, I think there was one point where he actually started throwing some leg kicks towards him and then landing combos with his fists after that. That was beautiful, you know, but he didn't really capitalize on that, and I guess he kind of, he froze up, didn't know what to do. John Jones, you know, stellar athlete, absolutely incredible performer. Man, I'm saying stellar way too much. Anyway, but yeah, who's going to stop John Jones? That's a big question now. Now, we already know his next opponent in line is Rashad Evans. And what's interesting about this matchup is that I think the key here for Rashad is to take John Jones down. A lot of people listen to the commentators, anyone in MMA right now, they're talking about how impressive John Jones is, and his caliber of athlete is similar to Anderson Silva, who we all know. I mean, I don't like the guy, but I hate to admit it, he's the best mixed martial artist out there. Well, hell, let's just say the best martial artist out there. He has excellent stand-up, he's good off the ground, but that's just it. John Jones is similar, you know, excellent stand-up, you know, great dirty boxer, you know, when he has him up against the cage and stuff, knows really how to work his knees and spinning elbows and all that stuff. But John Jones on his back, you know, has he really got, you know, could you imagine John Jones pulling guard, like, well, he tried to do that today, actually, in the final seconds of, I think it was second round, something like that. But anyway, yeah, could you imagine John Jones pulling, you know, getting the rubber guard up, you know, something like that? That'd be crazy with those chicken legs flying up in the air. But anyway, what would be a good game plan for Rashad? Well, let's talk the future here for this fight. If, you know, fighters are healthy, the fight actually does go down, Rashad Evans, John Jones, what should Rashad do? Take him down. Test him on his back. I swear to God, if I see Rashad try and stand with this man for more than at least 2 minutes, you know which way the fight's going. You know. My man John Jones is unstoppable. He's on a tear. I think the only way to stop him, put him on his back, test out his wrestling skills when he's on the bottom, test out his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you know what I mean? Somebody needs to Chael Sonnen this guy, you know, just punch a hole in his face. But in saying that, you know, you gotta watch him, because, you know, we don't know if he might throw up a triangle. We don't know if he can, you know, get a sick rubber guard going and you know, throw up an omoplata or go-go plata. That'd be really crazy if he did, but I don't think he's gonna do that. So we need to really see what Rashad is made of. You know, we need to see what John Jones is made of. You know, a successful title defense this time around, but I think the key to stopping him is you got to put him on his back and you got to blast him in his face if you want to get anywhere. I'm talking about some serious ground and pound. You know, you really need to get in his grill, make him bleed, basically. Make him know he's in a fight. And I think John Jones will falter. I think. But, you know, that's one way of looking at it. What Rampage did today, just standing, hesitant, not really, you know, freezing up, not really taking his shots, not working his leg kicks. You know, they're saying John Jones is unstoppable right now. You know, I would have said, I think there's only one guy that would probably stop him, and that would have been Shogun Rua, which John Jones beat for the title. And the reason I would have said that, you know, if that fight didn't go the way it was, and, you know, say somehow or another John Jones became the champion, you know, the future was altered by someone else, and I would say Shogun would be the only guy to stop him, because Shogun has such impressive leg kicks, you know, especially in the light heavyweight division, maybe even Lyoto Machida, that I think those two guys would do very well, because I think another key to taking down John Jones is, look at him, man, look at his total upper body physique. He's like a gorilla, man, and then he's walking around in these long chicken legs. And I'm telling you, watch a John Jones fight, look at his leg, when you see him in full perspective, look at his legs, look at his upper body, and just be like, you see what I'm talking about. Dude looks like gorilla up here, chicken down there. You got those chicken legs. I think someone needs to leg kick the fuck out of them to stop John Jones, you know, and then he'll have nowhere to go but to the ground, because, you know, the height and weight in which he's standing on, I think it'll be too much. He'll crumble, take him to the ground, finish the fight there. That's how I see another way of John Jones getting finished. So if Lyoto Machida can get his shit together, stop asking for Anderson Silva money, I think we can see a serious bout between maybe Lyoto and John Jones. What do you think about that? But anyway, Rashad's next in line. Rashad, listen to my advice, man. You gotta put him on your Rashad Evans. You gotta put John Jones on his back. You got to. And, you know, I think another wise way to do it is you just got to really work on your shooting for the takedowns. I think he's really got to, you know, really look to close the distance while watching Jones's feet, because he throws leg kicks like crazy. He also throws high kicks, he spinning back kicks, he knees, you know, a lot of dangerous factors you got to keep in mind. It's not as easy as just saying, yeah, take him down. But honestly, Rashad, you got to put him on his back. I wouldn't put him up against the cage, because he's excellent against, you know, wall walking and stuff, and, you know, off his back, and he's excellent at just, you know, kind of moving you and then getting in the offensive, you know, swinging opponents around, those swinging, you know, the spinning back elbows. I mean, don't put John Jones on the cage. You just got to get him in the center, take him down, and make him work from there. That's my advice. All in all, UFC 135 was a solid event. I can't wait to see what's to come for the future of the UFC, you know what I mean? You got Alistair Overeem, Brock Lesnar come Christmas time. I think that fight will be happening just after Christmas or before New Year's. Either way, I think it's in December. That is a stellar fight, you know. The next pay-per-view, what do we got? Frankie Edgar, Gray Maynard. You know, they're putting on an entertaining fight. You need to watch that. And also on that event, I think that's UFC 136. You got Ken Florian versus Jose Aldo. I know it's Jose, but, you know, whatever. So, yeah, that's going to be another... You got 2 title fights in one event. That's pretty good. You know, more matchups which I can't think of, but I'm sure, you know, things are only on the up and up now for the UFC. You've also got the UFC on Fox event with Cain Velasquez defending his title against Junior Dos Santos. Cannot wait for that one. Let me just show you something since I mentioned some of those names real quick. Okay, there we go. Got that Junior Dos Santos poster. I don't know if you can see that from where I was sitting. And, oh, what we got here, that's Cain. And, yeah, Cain again, taking on Big Nog. That was in Australia. Love that shot right there. A little, Muscle Farm advertisement there, which I put up, which has, Rashad Evans in it. Got that from when I went to the Fitness Expo in Melbourne. And Kenny Florian. Let's check this out. Kenny Florian signed Jack's UFC figure. That's swag right there. So, yeah, look. It's been a good video. I think it has. You got anything to comment, please feel free to comment. Like the video, subscribe, or just do whatever you want. But really, you know, be safe, have a nice day. This is the Random 6, aka Ash, saying, have a good day. See ya.